ठीक है. Hey everyone. Video. I don't think this to ekda bakshi. Like I can't see me on the lag. हाँ. अच्छा. ठीक है. Yes. Thank you. So hey everyone. I'm Saarth Deshpande. Passed out 2 weeks ago. Uh, and I'll be conducting a seminar on a little bit of a different approach to masters. I'm sure you haven't attended a similar seminar before. It's not the usual SOP में ये करो, resume में वो करो. Come in, it's fine. It's, of course, I'll cover those points as well. It's slightly different. How many of you are here specifically to look at this seminar as without research ही जाना है MS को? ये सोच के कितने लोग आए? Please raise your hands. It's completely fine. Okay. Can someone please say why? Why do you not want to? Why do you want to go without research? You want to go? ये है. Research नहीं करना है. ये क्यों है? Just a curious. I don't have any research. I'm not judging. I'm just asking कि why do you want to go without research? Come in. Of those who raised their hands, how many of you have tried research? Please raise your hands. Okay. How many of you think that I'm going to say research is very bad? Kabhi mat karo in this seminar. Please raise your hands. No? Okay, good. So, as I said, it's a different approach. There's nothing very headstrong about it that yahi karo, yahi mat karo. You can sit ahead. There's a lot of space here. It's fine. And like effectively, the summary of the seminar would be that there isn't one fixed path for MS. There are different paths. You can either, there's no short way कि ये किया तुम लोग ने तो you will get in. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. If you know a way that this may work, try it out. If you think that yeah, ab tak no one I know has done it, please feel free to try it out. If there is no particular path that appeals to you, please set your own path. That always, it will help you in the long run as well. Can you go to the next slide, please? I always think that if you're taking advice from someone about something, you should know what they've done so far. Basically, like, तू कौन होता है मेरे को क्या करना बोलने वाला? So, in the first year, I didn't know how to write code. I knew I wanted to do it, but I didn't know how to. So I spent the entire first year just understanding the fundamentals of C, C++. There's a very cool book in the library called The Complete C++ Reference by Herbert Schilt. It's really cool. You can like, for instance, not that like, okay, so we'll come again to the point that marks matter or don't matter, etc. But in our second year OOP finals, I had integrated stuff like not in the syllabus. The problem statement was very specific, but I even integrated stuff like say assembly level code, created my own namespace, included STL, stuff like that. Even though it wasn't necessary, and all that was because of that book. The first year there was no कि मैं ये भी करना है, ये भी करना है. Just you don't know how to write code. Focus on that. That's what I had done in the first year. Rest you can see basic stuff, web development, some internships, some projects. This I think was very helpful and important for me. So I was applying for FOSSEE as a maths using Python fellow. My job was to write some notes in Python and sorry, my bad. Write some technical notes of higher advanced mathematics and create animations for them using Python. So I had to make sure that my knowledge should not be subpar. So I studied, all these books are there in the library, by the way. Irvin Krasik, Peter O'Neill, Gilbert Strang. So Sahai and Bish is actually one of the books which our Gadade sir has used for his MTech. So like the teachers are so cool. You can actually ask them that what had you used, because if you see Krasik and Peter O'Neill, they're practically the same and they're extremely easy. There's nothing there जो ऐसे समझ में नहीं आता ऐसा होता है. So those books really helped me like enter the technical reading space, I would say. And you have your basic stuff like fellowship, web2 projects and stuff. This again I felt was extremely helpful. Attempted startup. So basically the problem was when online stuff began, we had to submit our assignments on different platforms. So we had to submit on Teams, storage restriction is Drive, and to evaluate those, like some teachers also use Piazza and Canvas. And to evaluate those submissions, teachers had to download those files, download them on their local machines, run them, give marks on another platform. Very disorganized. So I just created a simple web app that students could submit their assignments to. No storage restrictions. S3 hai, so it's practically like inexpensive. And a terminal was integrated in the website itself. So when students submitted the assignments, teachers could view the write-ups, they could execute the code on the website itself and grade them as well. This even included stuff like submission ticket like generation. So once all the teachers approve the lab submissions, you could create automatically a submission ticket would be generated, etc. So all of this was done. It worked for around 6-7 months. They were extremely happy to use it as long as it was free. And after that, it didn't work. Now this you can see as some good parts, and effectively in the big picture, it was a failure, right? Now, how to frame this in the SOP as well, I will cover. Like the SOP in general, you can either look at it like you can frame it negatively, or you can say what you learned from it, what was the good part, what was your initial aim. You succeeded at your initial aim. जो byproduct था उसपे नहीं हुआ इतना, which is fine. You can move on. Stuff like that. This third year was very played a really important role. This timeline. Next slide, please. Okay. So how many of you, I'm sure there are many of you here, a lot of people in my batch as well, who are doing engineering not because they wanted to, but because of some other reason. I'm sure there's a lot of you wanted to be journalists or designers or painters or dancers even. Like how many of you are here who are doing engineering not because you wanted to? Please raise your hand, it's completely fine. YouTube stream है, मम्मी पापा देखेंगे. बोलो, how many of you are here? Like genuine question. Please honestly raise it, it's completely fine. Okay, keep your hands up. Reiterating that, how many of you don't want to stay in engineering 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, whatever? That's very less. हम लोग केस में बहुत है. You see, very few, even look at our seniors also. Very few remain engineers. Most of them go to management or NGOs or teaching careers. Very few remain engineers. But nice, brave. But so point being that why perform in the current field? So as most few of you said that you didn't want to do engineering or you don't want to pursue it. So when you go for an MS or when you're writing your SOP or looking from a more higher level philosophical perspective as well, I pursued a degree and you wasted 4 years of my life because my parents wanted me to is not a very responsible answer, especially when you're applying to the US. Not necessarily you'll apply for MSCS, you can apply for MS Finance, whatever you're interested, MS in UX, you can apply for whatever you're interested in. But saying that मैंने engineering किया, मेरे marks कम थे, I only did it because someone else wanted me to. That shows that you lack the spine of not going for and getting what you want. So that is why you should really, even though you don't want to do this, अभी है 2 साल हो गए तुम लोग के, 2 साल ही बाकी है. You're here, that's the truth. Please accept it and you have to perform. Like go on to the next slide, please. So throughout engineering, these are a few tips. If you want, you can like take notes or something. There's a lot of compressed content here. So all the subjects are important. You may feel like a lot of things don't seem important. We had one of our subjects called computer organization and architecture. People hated the subject. Like a lot of people failed in it as well. People absolutely hated it, but it's all your perspective. If you really love engineering, you'll find that computer architecture is one of the loveliest subjects ever. You have a web app, you have your front end, you have your back end. अभी वो back end का back end क्या है? That is computer architecture. So if you think of it that way, lot of people think that assembly it's useless. If you go into, like many of you, I'm sure want to go into Silicon Valley, right? You know how the name Silicon Valley came? Anyone of you knows how the name Silicon Valley came? Correct. So semiconductors were made from silicon. So if you want to like go to the heart of Silicon Valley and to work on such stuff, you think it's going to happen without assembly? It's useful just because it's taught from a syllabus perspective or probably a rote learning, if that's one way of looking at it. It's not that it's useless. So all the subjects are important. You just have to. So one thing I really learned in 4 years is you have to lie to yourself a lot. I love coming to college. बहुत मजा आता है. बहुत मजा आता है. ठीक है ना? Just 4 साल करो, then it'll be over. ठीक है ना? It'll be over. But all the subjects are really important, and just don't treat it as like backlog आ गया ना, तो it's honestly बहुत तंग होता है. It's अलग से स्ट्रेस. प्लेसमेंट में बैठोगे तो तंग होगा, एमएस के लिए जाओगे तो it may or may not. I don't know because I fortunately didn't have one, but maintain a 9.5 plus GPA. This is pre-COVID, by the way. So pre-COVID, not online, offline में please maintain 9.5 के ऊपर. I can tell you for sure that of all the people I know from PhD, IITs में 8 points इससे कुछ हो जाता है, they get into Stanford and stuff. This is not an IIT. Here you need to get like keep it at least 9.5. 9.5 के ऊपर of all the people I know who got into say UCSD or NYU Courant or even there's so many people who got into Columbia, Georgia Tech, Carnegie Mellon. All of these have at least 9.5 CGPA. This is pre-COVID. Online में सबको 10 है, but pre-COVID also 9.5 है, which increases the average. So please maintain this. Abhi now from now on you'll have offline exams only. So this is very very important. Marks do matter, especially if you're going for MS. Placements के लिए नहीं होगा इतना. If you want to work in India नहीं होगा, बाहर भी work करना होगा तो it won't matter much. But if you want to go for MS, some of you may even consider PhD. The GPA is very important. There are people, USC for example, what they did this year was they have a very strict GPA consideration. They took, there's at least 25 to 30, to at least 25 people I know who are from PICT who got into USC. And so many people didn't get in from IITs because GPA was 8 point something. अभी वो USC का गलती है कि वो लोग GPA ही use करते हैं सिर्फ to segregate people. But point being that USC took PICTians and not IITians. उसमें this GPA matters is the moral of the story there. GPA matters. But take as much knowledge as you can from all your teachers. Abhi, how many of you were here like offline in first year? बाप रे इतने ही है. Okay, second year. Second year. तुम लोग did you actually attend the lectures? Okay. Name a few teachers. Anyone, just name a few teachers. हाँ come. कौन? Okay. Okay. Now, how many of you actually asked any of these teachers ki why did they come into teaching? Or how many of you asked ki आप जब कॉलेज में थे तब why, like what was your path? Why did you decide you wanted to end up teaching? How many of you asked ki your Poddar sir, for example, is here for around 15 to 20 years at least. So why did you ask him? Why didn't you ask him ki ab tak, like what made you stay for so long, 15, 20 years in the same place? So these are like teachers तो वही रहेंगे, syllabus वही रहेगा. You can almost all our like my batch passers we didn't attend, like हम लोग का भी दोनों semester मिला के 1 to 2% था attendance. It wasn't much. So but in the end all of us we made notes, used notes, pass हो गए. Most of us will get above 9 only. That's easy. That's fine. So syllabus will remain same. So what can you take from the teachers? वो देखो, as I previously mentioned, Gadade sir, you go and ask. That is the very important thing, that you'll get to learn a lot from the teachers. The syllabus remains the same. Learn from their experiences. How many of you know Gursade sir in first year department, the mechanics and civil engineering teacher? Gursade sir, you don't know? He's not there anymore. Okay, what about Sapkar sir, Nitin Sapkar sir? Have you asked him why he uses a Tata Nexon vehicle? Ask him sometime. Very interesting. The Gursade sir, who is not in the college anymore, he used to work he has done civil engineering and mechanics related work in Dubai, which is really cool. So you should ask stuff like, Dubai में civil engineering, Burj Khalifa है वहाँ पर, dude, like why have you come back here? These are interesting questions you can ask, which you can learn from what they have learned. So point being that the syllabus remains the same. Learn from the teachers. See how their experiences shaped their path and how you can learn from them to shape yours. Be logical and respectful at all times. During a lecture, a teacher may be technically incorrect. You can say it politely that ma'am or sir, I think aisa hona chahiye, aisa nahi. But that is just one of the points. And you can help them, you can tell them why. So in one of our, again, computer architecture papers, um, one of the diagrams was from a reference book that sir might not have recalled at the moment. So he didn't give me a mark for that. Like the marks were there, they were decent, they were good marks. But the diagram ke liye, he had cut a mark because he's like, I think I haven't seen that diagram before. So because he had told a reference book chapter 2 months ago, and I had used that reference book, I'm like, sir, 2 minute rukho. I downloaded the PDF in class. I showed him, sir, ye hai. He increased the marks. Now I could have also said ki very disrespectfully as well. People do say that ki nahi, aapne bola tha, hai idhar hai, of course, like all bullshit. But you can say he respects you more, you respect him more. Ki he agreed to what was logically correct, and he was kind enough and respectful enough ki he waited for you to get him proof to show that he was wrong. So they will listen to you. Everyone does, like in this is like not just MS advice, it's life advice. Just change your perspective, but be logical and respectful, and take as much knowledge as you can from the teachers. Use foreign publications. Now, कितनों ने use किया है? Honestly, just any one book also. Which book? Name the book. Okay. Okay. How many more? Who else use? Very good. Who else? William Stallings किसी ने use नहीं किया? Very good. I love that book. It's amazing. Hmm. Use reference books यार सच में. It's like honestly tell me कि school और college में क्या फर्क लगता है तुम लोग को? What do you think is the difference between school? I'm like genuine question. Anyone can just answer. Club activities है, college activities है. ये छोड़ के what else do you think is the difference? Self study is extremely important. Please, you can. So for our honors paper right now, we didn't have any previous year's papers for it. So generally, how we study for the rest of the subjects was previous year's papers. देखो, उसमें से you take out the questions that like frequency, जिसका frequency ज़्यादा है, जो ज़्यादा frequently आता है. Usse you write the answers down and you write them in points, and that's how you keep. But for stuff like honors, where it was very scary for us because BE में है, एक महीने में सब जाने वाले for placements or MS, and you don't know. It's very risky because there's no previous year's papers. You may fail. If you fail, sub 6 month delay. So it is very risky, but if you use foreign publications, it's very useful. How to make notes with foreign publications is honestly very easy. तुम लोग अपना जो syllabus है वो खोलो, हर एक topic निकालो. It's SPPU. They will not ask you rocket science. You understand the nomenclature. इसका नाम ऐसा क्यों है? Deep learning का नाम deep learning क्यों है? Why is it deep? Because there are multiple depth ज़्यादा है, इसलिए deep learning आया नाम. You understand the nomenclature. उसके types रहेंगे तो हर type का थोड़ा explain करो. Use cases बोलो. 4 points you can write in 2 pages. हो गया 10 mark. So you make your own notes and use foreign publications. Final year में तो you will see TechMax is absolute shit. कुछ नहीं आता है. English is also incorrect. English is incorrect. Then we have ये topic already final year में है. Why study it before? You've seen the syllabus. You've seen what comes when. We had a subject called Internet and Web Programming in our final year. इसमें HTML में if or else कैसे use करते हैं था. So you studied before. That's all. Next slide, please. Okay. How many of you have had at least 2 internships so far? How many of you want to go with WorkX? कि 2 साल काम कर गए फिर जाना है, ऐसे कितने लोग हैं? Can any of you please tell me why? But why? But why?
Maybe in finances and also in work experience in the particular field for master's and matter.
Experience, I agree.
I had my cousin doing it, so maybe that part I would very impactful.
Okay. So experience does matter. I completely agree with that. The thing is, if you have a good number of diverse internships throughout your BE, your work experience won't make much of a difference because you see the kind of companies that you intern at. And first, इसमें बहुत मजा आता है यार, पहली internship है, बहुत मजा आएगा, काम बोल रहे, they're gonna pay me, it's gonna be amazing. Second internship, it's like okay, offline वाला रहेगा तो और भी मजा आता है. But offline में, even if it's for a month or two, 3 weeks later you see ki okay, as an intern I'm getting to learn here, but you see the full-time employees, you see how productive their days. Do you really think that अभी a year what 19-20 you're very like बहुत volatility रहता है brain में कि like नहीं ये सीखना है, ये सीखना है, ये हो गया, ये सीखना है. That enthusiasm and volatility is not usually there for full timers. It's just like nahi, I just work 9 to 5 ho gaya, I'm going home. Of course there are exceptions. FANG is always an exception. Startups in Bangalore and Delhi always an exception, no doubt. But again, you go to the place, you see, you internships karo, 4-5 internships karo, you see if that is meant for you. If you would like to be a full-time employee there, then it is worth considering. But if you have the experience, if you understand ki, I mean, for most of us in third year we did like I don't know 4 or 5 internships हुए रहेंगे second of जो COVID period था उसमें. And when we came back for final year, we didn't have to study much for the exams, honestly, because the questions were such that we had already implemented that stuff in the internships. Like हायरार्किकल प्रॉक्सी क्यों नहीं यूज करते हैं, लाइक दिस इज अभी जाएगा ऊपर से, बट फाइनल ईयर में इट्स अ वेरी बेसिक आंसर. एंड like how I write some basic code in Angular JS, or like it's you have implemented it so much in your internships that you don't need to study alag se for these exams. So that is the whole point of even getting work experience here and then going there, कि तुम लोग ने जो अप्लाई किया है उसके पीछे क्या थियरी है वो सीखने आना चाहिए. So if you have a good number of internships, it's the number of internships does not matter, honestly. अगर तुम लोग ने 4 internship किया है, चारों भी MERN stack में ही है, it's the same thing, it's useless. That it's basically one internship but 4 अलग जगहों पर. थोड़ा diversity रखो. I'll come to that point later as well. The next point, the next slide please. Okay, so since there are no FESTs, I'll just briefly go through this. First year, learn a programming language, try out some cool frameworks. कुछ ज्यादा commitment मत करो इसमें, just प्रोग्रामिंग कैसे करते हैं, लॉजिक बिल्ड करो, सीपी करो थोड़ा सा, इट्स कंप्लीट, अंडरस्टैंड हाउ द कोड वर्क्स, हाउ टीएलई नहीं आना चाहिए, हाउ कोड शुड बी रिटन एफिशिएंटली, हाउ कोड कैन बी प्रिटियर, हाउ टू मेक इट बेटर, बेसिकली ऑप्टिमाइज योर कोड राइटिंग एबिलिटीज एंड एक्सप्लोर. ये फर्स्ट सेम में वगैरह करके देन यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि अच्छा वेब में ऐसा होता है, ऐप में ऐसा होता है, एमएल बेसिक्स ऐसा होता है. जस्ट एक्सप्लोर, यूर जस्ट लाइक kid going to a play store, like ye acha hai, I'll play with this, I'll play with this. First year, that is all you need to do, nothing else. Next slide please. Second year, how many of you have not taken part in any hackathon yet? Hands up please. Okay, why? I'm just curious. थर्ड ईयर में मुश्किल हो जाता है बिकॉज थर्ड ईयर में प्रोजेक्ट और इंटर्नशिप्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. फाइनल ईयर में इट्स इम्पॉसिबल टू गेट टाइम फॉर अ हैकाथॉन. कभी तो वेरी रेयरली यू विल गेट, अदरवाइज फाइनल ईयर इज एक्सट्रीमली बिजी. अभी सिंस थर्ड ईयर इज जस्ट स्टार्टिंग, आई रियली रेकमेंड प्लीज गो फॉर एटलीस्ट अ हैकाथॉन और टू. It's very useful. Doesn't matter if you win or lose, you have a project which you create that you can add on your resume. Very important. It's very helpful. Next point, projects. So why I've written use new technologies only. For one of our, I think, DBMS projects, we had a restriction that you have to use Java. How many of you know how to write code in Java? अब बाहर जाओ यार. Okay, I hate Java, honestly. It's too many lines. Huh? But so we had to write code in Java for that. But we requested a teacher ki you tried, again, as I mentioned previously as well, you try to look at things from teachers' perspectives as well. So the only problem teachers had was they knew that Java में raw query भेज सकते हैं, ORM नहीं use करते हैं. So you tell them that ठीक है, like you show them a sample code in JavaScript, Python, Golang, whatever you're comfortable with. You told them कि नहीं, ma'am, your requirement is raw JavaScript, raw SQL query जाना चाहिए, वो जा रहा है. Can we please use this? They'll say yes. Ours was one of the first batches to use JavaScript and Python for the DBMS mini project. All our previous batches have used Java. If you see anyone's third year mini project, you will see सब जगह वो JDBC and all. It's outdated. It's extremely outdated tools. So if you do projects, college will give you project opportunities. They will enforce stuff like they will tell you to do stuff that they are familiar with. They'll tell you कि Java use करो, JDBC use करो. Kindly प्यार से एकदम request करो कि आपका requirement we understand कि we shouldn't use shortcuts, we should send the entire SQL query. इसमें भी होता है, can we please use this? They'll take 2 or 3 days to reply, but they'll do it. They'll say yes. So use new technology. Project opportunity मिलेगा, उसमें पुराना tech मत use करो please. Second year, do focus on DSA. It's how many of you actually like DBMS and or DSA? Either of them. Please raise your hands. Do you know how red black trees or AVL trees are used to store data in an SQL database? Why select star जब करते हो इतना जल्दी क्यों होता है? बहुत रहेंगे तो भी. So explore all of these are inter DBMS, DSA, OS, COA, DELD come, but still yes. So all of these are interrelated. You try to understand DBMS में it's a very interesting question. Anyways, do look it up. It's very interesting. So ये एक बार आगे ये DSA में, especially in India, for an entry level role, they don't usually ask you stuff like क्या बोलते हैं store करते हैं तो कौन सा tree use होता है, how does it work and stuff. They don't. But this is an MS के लिए session. Clearly, you want to stay in academia for a longer while and you find knowledge interesting. So do check it out. Sem 2 internships. Now, as I asked in the beginning, how many of you don't want to stay in engineering? So I'm sure most of you are shy and don't want to say it out. It's completely fine. But if you want to switch to a different field, let's say you want to become, say a designer, और तुम लोग का ENTC है पर computer science जाना है, तुम लोग का IT है but you actually find IoT devices extremely useful. ऐसा होता है. It's honestly there. People who have been exposed to a lot of hardware find software interesting. Lot of software find hardware very interesting. So तुम लोग को जिसमें जाना है उसमें projects internships तो करो, but try to apply what you have learned. Software आता है अच्छे से, apply it to something which is integrated with hardware. So why I'll tell you this when at a later, like in a few slides, but again, as I mentioned previously, you can't say that 4 years I did electronics engineering because मेरे को marks नहीं मिले, because मेरा rank कम था, because parents नहीं बोला. You have to frame it in a way that I loved electronics, not necessarily you loved also. You were working on a project of electronics, एक group project था, उसमें software का भी काम था, you were intrigued by how it was, इसलिए you started working to that. So that way you can like transition your change to the other field that you want to work with. Now, if you want to switch your tech, if you have worked with, say, mobile app development and you want to go on to web, or you worked with web, you want to go on to machine learning, or you worked with machine learning, you want to go on to web, ऐसा switch करना है. Please at least have one project and one internship in the field you are switching from. तुम लोग ने अगर 6-7 महीना डाला है to invest in web 3 or web 2 and you have nothing to show for it, who will believe you that you've done it? If you want to switch what technologies you want to experiment with, अगर एक अच्छे से आता है तो उसका एक project और internship at least करो. POW is proof of work. तुम लोग ने किया है, इसका कुछ तो proof रहना चाहिए. If it's very very important, you can't just say कि नहीं मेरे को आता है. Which company will listen? If you have done something and you're bored of it, I completely understand. Second year I did a lot of machine learning. Third year tak I found it really boring, honestly. I switched to web. Web ho gaya, I switched to blockchain. Now I'm going to systems. It's switching. This is the age to switch. Iske baad, like when you're in your 30s in a job, you can't afford to switch. Now is the time to switch. Karo, that's completely fine. But jisse switch kar rahe ho, uska please keep some proof. That has to be a good project, not just Instagram clone or Facebook clone. Make something people will use. There are a lot of problems. Look for problems around you, around your parents, something. Go to your local kirana walas and make a website for them. That's a big deal. You're creating something that people will actually use. That is what is important. Have a project that people will use. You can even add it on your resume that at a time 700 or 800 people actually use this. This is very helpful. And have an internship at least in that. Doesn't matter if it's 2-3 months or even 6 months. Have an internship and at least one project in a good project in whatever you're switching from. Next slide, please. Internships. The number of internships, as I mentioned, doesn't matter. Your stipend doesn't matter. I'm talking from an applying for MS perspective. Now, research. Try it out. Try it out. if you think that it is your cup of tea, please do it. But it is not a compulsion that yahi this is the path. Research नहीं किया तो कहीं नहीं मिलेगा, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. So as you can see, till now there was a path. Like I can tell what was there for me. Learned programming languages, learned Python, Flask, APIs, उससे web सीखा, web with ML सीखा. So that was how the path went. But in case of like till the third year, you're like I expect. I'm sure most of you don't have internship. Like few of you don't have internship. Sorry, that's completely fine. But try to shape it like that. It's not necessary कि first दो साल में नहीं किया तो नहीं. It's nothing like that at all. It's आराम से, but do it. Like if whatever you've done so far, even if you've done like basic HTML, avoid HTML, CSS, JavaScript projects, but add like if you integrate it with a framework, just make something that people will use. Make something that people, that is what is important. Then try to see. So when you make something that people will use, first you'll give it to users for free, obviously, because they will use it, they'll like it. The Kirana wala example that I just mentioned. Make any basic retail website for them, they'll be happy to use it. Then when that website is used by almost every Kirana wala in your locality, and let's say you have one Reliance store in your locality as well, they'll want to use it as well because everyone else is using it. That is when you can start retailing it. So if you make a project really good that people really want to use it and they are willing to pay for it, that is when it can go into the product development or startup initiation phase. Please try this. US में जाके वापस वीजा वगैरह का गड़बड़ होता है. सेकेंड ईयर में इतना नॉलेज नहीं होता है, फाइनल ईयर में इतना टाइम नहीं होता है. थर्ड ईयर में once you start it out, it's very interesting and doesn't matter if it was the worst. What liabilities do you have? Startup नहीं चला तो क्या होने वाला? What is the worst that can happen to you? Nothing. No, when you're in, like when you've passed out, you have financial dependency. When you're 30 plus, you'll have wife, maybe kids. Uska alag se you'll have stresses. Right now, you don't have any liability. Startup मतलब क्या? घर बैठो, code लिखो, post करो. What else is there to do? Of course, user survey वगैरह वो सब आएगा ही. That's not a doubt. But now, like if you have a genuinely good project idea, which there is nothing similar in the market, please do try it out. There's no harm. Second semester, you can start beginning for your GRE prep. Next page, please. Final year, this is basic stuff like placements रहेंगे तो like do basic stuff. You know what this is. Next slide, please. Okay, so why MS? Clearly, most of you or all of you want to go for an MS, but why? Before you write your SOP or before you write your personal history statement, you have to know this answer at least for yourself. क्यों जाना है? Can any one of you answer? Give any. There's no right or wrong here. It's all subjective. Just क्यों जाना है? You can do that online also. Correct. What more? But why US? Why MS in US? Okay. What more reason other than ROI, good jobs? What more reason can be there? क्यों करना है MS? Most of you are here because you want to go, but why do you want to go? Genuine question. Correct. That's a very good reason. Correct. But if it's love for technology, why not an MTech here? Bangalore has amazing startups. Delhi has amazing startups. Why? So I'm sure most of you may feel this, but say it's like difficult to say out loud as well. How many of you had a like more than say 90, more than 90% in your 12th boards? And how many of you actually felt first year में कि syllabus difficult है? You didn't feel challenged enough by the syllabus, is that right? That is also a very good reason, I would say. You try. It's not necessary you need to say it out loud. Try to answer it for yourself. You may have problems at home, you may have problems in the way of teaching here, you may have problems in numerous things. Answer the question for yourself first कि क्यों जाना है. It's not necessary that you may, at the end of this, you may realize कि what I can do there, I can do here as well. I need not go. Try answering the question for yourself. It really helps you even while you're writing your SOP.
What was your reason?
I had multiple reasons, honestly. एक तो I felt the syllabus was very easy. I didn't like the exam pattern much because it's just cramming and like it is good, very useful information. But I'm more of a project-based build and ship kind of person, and that wasn't there here. So I felt, ठीक है, ये निकल जाएगा. I'll have a bachelor's degree. I learned a lot from the teachers. Teachers were very helpful. But the reason for going for MS, I would say, is the courses are amazing. Like मेरे को जिसमें काम करना है वो बहुत बढ़िया है वहाँ पर. They like all the universities that I did apply to, I really love the work there, and like it is so much so that it is worth considering to convert the MS to a PhD 2 years later as well. So you have to find that is also how you narrow down universities, by the way. Ki if there's a university, say Harvard does not have a great master in computer science program. It is Harvard, it is lovely, no doubt, but computer science में उनके 5 teachers है सिर्फ. It is not that great. It is great for, it is good for data science and stuff, but for computer, so you have to selectively choose your colleges accordingly, and you really must answer the question why MS. And it's not necessarily a technical answer. It can be a personal answer as well. There's no restriction, but try to come up with that answer. It's again, I'm saying this. It's not necessarily a technical answer. It can also be because of some personal issues. Next slide, please. Okay. So test scores, they are important, but mostly as a filter. So GRE के लिए, how many of you have given the GRE by the way so far? Okay. Okay. Cool. So since COVID, many universities are not accepting the GRE. Many have kept it optional as well. So there's a very good resource called Vince Cochin. He's this really cool guy who makes animations and designs and stuff. So basically uses puns to remember words. So for example, there's a word called disparate, DISPARATE. So to help us understand that better, he's created a photo of a pirate, and there's one parrot here, there's one parrot here, this one's green, this one's red, and niche the caption is disparate is different from disparate. So disparate means different. So ऐसे अलग-अलग, say he's made puns and things you can easily remember. So it's really cool. His website has a free 1, 2, 3, 4 month GRE study plan where each week you have different different questions to solve from different books, and you can get all those PDFs online. And I think the best part is that it's free. You don't have to pay for it. Please don't go for any coaching classes which charge you like 40-50,000 or something. It's unnecessary. तुम लोग को English रट्टा मारना है यार, class मत लगाओ उसके लिए. It's not necessary. The requirement for GRE varies as per universities, as I just said. Some universities have a requirement of your overall GRE score. Some have verbal requirement. Some have only quantitative requirement as well. So Georgia Tech, for example, has I think it's 320 plus. उसमें से भी 152 चाहिए verbal में and something चाहिए quant में. ऐसा है उनका requirement. NYU current is their analytical writing should be greater than equal to 3.5, and your quant should be greater than equal to 160, which I think is fairly reasonable. So you have to see these requirements based on each university. Now, if it is optional और तुम लोग को 320 के नीचे है, तो don't submit your scores. That will lower your chances. If it is optional, 320 के ऊपर है, that may increase your chances. Please submit it. So it's completely fine. You give it once. If you want, give it twice as well. उसके बाद don't spend too much time on it. Like spend your time on like perfecting your SOP, your personal history statement, getting your transcripts. वो सब पे ध्यान दो ज़्यादा. But I would say the ideal time to give it will be third year, second semester, or final year, first semester के बीच में. That is a very good time to give it. And even if you go or don't go, GRE is valid for 5 years, so you can give it then. मतलब तुम लोग को work ex करके भी जाना है, internship नहीं है, or whatever, work ex करके जाना है, तो give it after your third year. It's a very ideal time. 3 to 5 months are enough to prepare for it. Then TOEFL, Best My Prep is a very good resource. It's paid, I think it's 2,500 rupees for 1 week. And TOEFL को इतना मेहनत नहीं लगता है. It's like you give 2 tests on Saturday, give 2 tests on Sunday, and Monday को actual TOEFL दे दो. It's not much. But give it after you give the GRE. And if you want teaching assistantships or research assistantships, many universities have a requirement of speaking should be at least 28 out of 30. So I screwed up the speaking a bit because मेरा बहुत वो ऐसे casual conversation हो गया था. So in the speaking issue I said ये X होना चाहिए फिर Y होना चाहिए. Then I'm like नहीं sorry पहले A होना चाहिए. So that should not have happened. So they don't judge you necessarily on what you say but how you say it. So I'm sure you have good resources for TOEFL studying as well, but try to keep it at least 28 in all 4 categories. And few universities, including even Cornell, doesn't let you fill the application if you have a TOEFL score less than, I think, 24 in each. So at least 24 तो रहना ही चाहिए. 26 plus is the safer bet. Sorry. Next slide, please. Okay, backup job. So how many of you think you should take a backup job while applying for MS? Okay, so I didn't sit for placements. I'll tell you why as well. Previous slide, please. So I've written here that you can decide which universities after the GRE. So GRE दो, उसका score देखो तुम्हारा कितना है. You see previous admits और you see थोड़ा ranking के हिसाब से भाव करो कि like is this score good enough for this university, and you make a list of the universities that you can get into, and दो तीन वो category तो usual रहता है कि low ball it, average और ये तो like बहुत out of the league करके. So then you make those 3 categories, you make that list. Now you still narrow that list down to ये 10 है और 8 है whatever. इनमें से मुझे कुछ भी मिला तो मैं जाऊंगा. If you have that list, you don't need to go for a backup job. But if you're also applying to 2-3 more universities which are very low ranked and you're like नहीं ये मिला तो सोचना पड़ेगा, then you should go for you should like keep a backup job. But if you're very confident कि नहीं ये 10 में से मेरे को कुछ भी मिला तो मैं 100% जाने वाला हूँ, don't go for a backup job. उसमें प्लेसमेंट की तुम लोग तैयारी करोगे, डीएसए करोगे, इंटरव्यूज दोगे, टेस्ट दोगे, बहुत टाइम वेस्ट होता है. So if you have a final set of lists, a final list of universities that you will like, is anything of this you'll go. That is ideally what you should do as well. I don't know why people apply for नीचे वाले university even if you're not going to go. Just be careful when you narrow them down. अच्छे से 2 महीना you can spend for like along with your SOP and everything. You spend 1 or 2 months looking at each course, looking at which courses the university is known for, what work the professors have done, उनका क्या research है किसमें, and see if that can speak to you. If it does speak to you, then you go for that. Like ऐसा बहुत ढूंढ के you have to get it, like narrow it down, and इसमें से कुछ भी मिला तो you'll go ऐसा है, and उसमें you keep one lower ranked also. So there's a university called University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. उसका रैंक कम है, I think 28 or something worldwide, but their program is extremely selective. MSCS, they take 50 students only, 50. So it is a very, even though its rank is low, their courses are amazing, their professors are amazing. So ranking सिर्फ मत देखो, not just the ranking. See the teachers, the professors, see what work they've done, see what courses they have. Use a lot of parameters. Rankings जो देखने हैं, by the way, don't use QS World Rankings, use US News. USNEW, I think S or Z, I don't remember, I think it's S only. US News rankings for US universities or global universities are very reliable. So that's a good metric as well. So yeah, hence I don't recommend a backup job. I think it's a waste of time. Like keep a steady picture, मेरे को job करना है या MS करना है, ये नहीं हुआ तो ये ऐसा मत करो, don't do that. Just think what you want. Again, why MS करना ही है, get the list down, and then इसमें से कुछ भी मिला तो I'll happily go. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay. So statement of purpose. How many of you don't know what a statement of purpose is? अभी third year में गए, I'm sure that very few of you know what it is. Please raise your hands. किसको नहीं पता है क्या? Okay, ठीक है. So statement of purpose is basically it should help the university to answer. It should help the university to answer the question कि why should we take you? Why do you want to do a masters? Why are you eligible to do a masters? Like what work have you done कि हम इतनी prestigious university होके तुझे accept करें? तुझे यूएस में क्यों करना है मास्टर्स? why this university, इसके क्या courses है वगैरह, and what you have done so far. So these 5-6 issues should be addressed. इसमें काफी लोग there's actually a very famous video on YouTube, inside the admissions committee room, ऐसा कुछ तो नाम है उसका. So there's the admissions committee, they're evaluating a candidate. They're like, अच्छा straight A student, सब like 4 GPA वगैरह सब है, उनका out of 4 होता है. तो they're like, okay, wait list कर दो इसको. Next student, अच्छा इसका स्ट्रेट एज नहीं है, 3 पॉइंट कुछ तो ही है जीपीए, पर बचपन में बाप दारू पी के मारता था, ठीक है इसको एक्सेप्ट करो. सो मेनी पीपल स्पेशली फ्रॉम इंडिया लाइक डोंट बी डिसऑनेस्ट. पीपल राइट अ लॉट ऑफ लाइज कि लाइक कुछ भी एक बेसिक HTML CSS जावास्क्रिप्ट का प्रोजेक्ट किया तो आई क्रिएटेड अ फुल एंड टू एंड कुछ इतना सा है. डोंट ओवर ड्रामेटाइज, बी ऑनेस्ट एज टू वट एवर इज, and don't lie. They can easily tell. उनको पता है कि like every year more than thousands of Indians come to the US, and they know, they can distinguish easily कि what is honest, what is not. Please be honest. Don't over dramatize things, and avoid blaming. So my startup failed. One way I could have said was कि नहीं, they didn't pay for it, they didn't want it, they only wanted it because it's free. They were uncomfortable paying a student for something. I did not blame them. I'll read my SOP as well after this if you all want. And avoid blaming, avoid negative sentences as well कि मुझे यूएस में मास्टर्स करना है क्योंकि इधर का सिर्फ रट्टा है. This is not correct. If you don't respect the university you are currently studying in, they will think that तुम लोग वहां पे आओगे. What guarantee you will respect us? जहां पर अभी हो, you are not grateful for that, so why will you be grateful for where you are going to go? Avoid negative sentences, avoid blaming, accept failures gracefully, and with the right choice of words, that will make more sense at the SOP stage. Don't use GRE vocabulary if it is not necessary. सीधा बोलो क्या है, ठीक है ना? It's just, yeah. And iterative reviews. Now this is very very important. So you create your first draft. अभी anything you create or anything you write, वो खुद को तो लगता है कि यार ये बहुत सही है, ठीक है. You first thing you do is you read it again. 2 दिन बंद करो. Once you're done with your first draft, 2 दिन don't read it. Third day you read it again. You think if there's any changes, please make those changes. उसके बाद find one of your close friends who is in a field that is related to this. So one of my close friends who is a UX designer. So user experience उनको पता है कि यूजर को, और like they have a lot of things in their curriculum, they understand that ये पढ़ के ऐसा लगता है, ये पढ़ के ऐसा लगता है. So she gave me a lot of helpful inputs कि नहीं, this may sound cocky, this may sound कि you think you're like sounds very high-handed, this sounds like you're blaming someone. Do iterative reviews with not just with one person. इसका हो गया, your close friend, someone your age हो गया, then show it to your parents as well. Include their changes as well. If you have elder siblings, show it to them as well. ये हो गया close friend, family. Now look for someone who is, I'm sure many of your parents have friends whose kids may be applying for bachelors or masters in the US right now, who are in the US. So those parents generally know ki what helps write a good SOP. So one of my dad's friends was actually very helpful to give me some advice on Stanford ki like while applying for Stanford. He said ki SOP ठीक है, but like why this particular university ये नहीं आता है? If you're applying to Stanford, सब वही looking है ना, Google आया, उससे बड़े कंपनी आए. What makes it special for Stanford? So not just Stanford was an example. Of course, I didn't get into Stanford, but you have to write your SOP in such a way that it is specific. You have done your research about that university. You made an effort so far to build your profile. You are making an effort now to get into that university. ये दिखना चाहिए. These iterative reviews are extremely important. Next slide, please. Resume. If you don't have any publications, please stick to one page. Just don't add multiple pages. Achievements में You can add sports stuff because especially to either Ivy Leagues or even USC, I've heard that the sports they have some sports quota. I don't know exactly what it is, but if you have sports achievements and all, you can add. That's not an issue. But avoid things like so tailor your resume to what is required for the university. तुम लोग MSCS apply करो और creative writing में first है, it is not good. If you're applying for MA or even if you're applying for MS in say some arts, MS in you can say this, you want to take computer science with arts related courses, or you've applied machine learning techniques to old paintings, then you can add such stuff. But be very careful of what you add and avoid going beyond one page. If you have publications like दो तीन है publications अच्छे हैं तो you can go to 2 pages. 2 pages से ज़्यादा please avoid. Prefer making it in latex. It's अच्छा भी दिखता है and it's better. The one I had sent while applying for MS was not in latex, but I still highly recommend. Now it is latex, but highly recommended in latex. Even when you're applying for jobs or anything here or in the US, it there's a thing called ATS which filters your resume. So latex is better equipped for that as well. Don't mention all your projects or internships. So I have a good number of projects, but I had 7 internships. You cannot add all of them. All of them are not. तुम लोग second, third year में जो करते हो, that may not, second year में rather जो करते हो internship, that may not be as effective. Like say web developer, but your role was only basic React. मतलब जो like थोड़े components दो तीन add कर रहे थे. So that's not like by the time you're in final year or third year, you worked on really cool stuff. You worked on cloud computing, DevOps, like काफी cool चीजें किए होते हैं. So it's not number of internships doesn't matter. It's like say you've done you've studied databases, you've studied data structures algorithms, and then you're doing full stack projects. You're starting something of your own, or you're doing full stack project. So ये किया है मतलब ये दोनों आता होगा ना. So it's like that for projects as well. कि like don't mention everything. Mention three. I would say 3 or maximum 4 projects you mention. Try to keep at least 2 to 3 of them which are individual projects. 1 or 2 can be group projects. It's fine, but try to keep majority as individual projects. Internships, karo. It's very helpful. If you start something of your own, you can add that as well on the resume. But internships, don't mention all of them. I'm sure first year में किसी ने वो क्या वो campus ambassador वगैरह किया होगा. वो कौन पूछने वाला MS MSCS, no one's going to ask that. So just add the important ones that is really helpful. That's how you can reduce the size of your resume. For each project or internship, briefly mention your contribution. कि you don't write कि ये कंपनी क्या करती है, ये मॉड्यूल क्या करता है, ये सब मत लिखो. मैंने ये किया, and if the company is willing to share the information with you, my contribution to this helped the company get 800 900 more users or whatever. कंपनी है तो 900 से आपको ज्यादा ही होगा. But write that your contribution, the impact it had, and links to projects. So each project that you add, please keep a link to it so that when especially in startups, it's not always really cool Bangalore and Delhi startups, by the way, that they don't see वो ATS के through filter नहीं होता resume. They take few people, but जो लेते हैं उनको they really want good people. So they actually, the managers see what your resume अच्छे से देखते हैं, हर एक link पे जाते हैं देखते हैं. So avoid putting GitHub repos. If you have, let's say तुम लोग को machine learning आता है, तो find like loading a pickle file and sending it through Flask is nothing. It's easy. Host karna is not that. In say 2 hours you can read the documentation and host your own thing. It's completely fine. So whatever your projects you have done, please host them. It's very important to add hosted links next to your projects. Next slide, please. That's it. Okay. This was the PPT. Do you have any questions?
We said that if you are you can read out your SOP, what is possible.
Sure. Like, does everyone want it or it's fine if you don't want it? ऐसा कुछ ये नहीं है. The statement of purpose. It might help summarize this. Okay, so while machine learning imitates humans, I have always enjoyed imitating machines. When my mother told me to spit out watermelon seeds, I loved to annoy her by asking if I should eject those seeds or delete them. Growing up with gadgets and machines, I tried to find new applications for each one. I remember flashing a new ROM on my phone to make it more customizable. Back in the day, the rush of an Apple boot screen logo on my Android phone had me dancing. My school projects aimed at creating simple machine based solutions to daily time consuming tasks like water level indicators for kitchen storage. Upon entering college, machine learning piqued my interest. I wanted to solve every possible problem using this complex yet manageable tool. I spent my freshman year exploring the programming fundamentals. I cherished books by authors like Herbert Schilt, Ellis Horowitz, and William Stallings. Studying these greats ignited in me a passion for computer architecture and programming. I enrolled in the Applied Data Science specialization offered by the University of Michigan on Coursera. I wanted to combine machine learning with computer science to solve problems. Applying these insights to my projects widened my perspectives. IIT Bombay offered me a fellowship at the end of my sophomore year. During this fellowship, I wrote lecture notes and coded animations for mathematical concepts. I realized that there is so much more to mathematics than dry calculations. To familiarize the world with these distinct peculiarities, I started to blog about mathematics. Soon after publishing my very first blog post covering eigenvalues, the pandemic hit. For online assessment of their academic projects, students had to repeat their submissions on many disjoint platforms. This repetitive work was an enormous inconvenience for everyone involved. The first principle of programming is don't repeat yourself. I decided to solve this problem, and thus my first product, Pseudo LMS, was born. I built Pseudo LMS as a platform with an integrated terminal within a web application. This allowed professors to execute code, run plagiarism checks, and grade submissions on the same platform. They found this product quite useful as it saved hours of their time. With over 4 months of building pseudo LMS and 600 plus active users at one point in time, I pitched it to other institutions for competitive pricing. Despite a low fee, I received only a lukewarm response. I accepted that I had achieved my initial aim of providing an efficient solution that users loved. I now want to study and work in a more conducive environment to be able to create software like pseudo LMS to screen research, especially dissertations and literary works for plagiarism. I want to absorb and contribute to UC San Diego's culture of problem solving and creativity. While building pseudo LMS, I worked with DataOrg, a data orchestration company, and continued to maintain high academic grades at university. It enhanced my multitasking abilities and also shaped a layered mindset, allowing me to deal with distinct tasks and switch between them with ease. Now I realize that my computer at home is not the answer. Company matters. I want to be amongst a diverse set of peers and work with startups while the best professors in the world tutor me. I felt a connection when I read UC San Diego's mission and vision statements. Working for HelpAge India to ease the lives of elderly people taught me a lot about suffering that science and machines could alleviate. Their problems made me understand the importance of advanced engineering in the delivery of accurate and portable healthcare systems. Healthcare automation can significantly improve the quality of life in patients with physical disabilities or communication problems like those with multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, stroke, etc. The more we understand about the brain's circuitry now via functional neuroimaging, the better we will be able to resolve the many problems in the lives of such patients via applied computer science. UC San Diego's mission, which aims to transform a diverse global society by educating, by generating and disseminating knowledge and creative works, and by engaging in public service, appeals to me and encourages me to use my skills in this area. Exposure to bright minds at UC San Diego will enhance my creativity and a drive to contribute to research and solutions. Throughout my student life, I have worked with different individuals and friends to create awareness about energy conservation and environmental protection. I aim to use my knowledge and skills in computer science to support and further these causes while also broadening the horizons of positive outcomes in my chosen fields. It is my sincere belief that alleviating human suffering while improving the quality of life globally should be one of the primary aims of scientific advances. Money alone can never be the final purpose of scientific and academic pursuits. The exhilaration of learning, research, and its application is in itself rewarding. I am in awe of those at UC San Diego who shape and inspire thousands of bright minds. The master's program at your university will equip me to advance my career and take the human race one step forward. This was my statement of purpose. So you can see that there were very few negatives that were mentioned, and there was no blaming. In the first draft, of course, had blaming that there's a lot of red tape here, so you cannot, even the bureaucracy, how it works, stuff like that. But overall, the whoever reads your SOP should feel that okay, this guy has a good outlook or good mindset. Should talk about you. They read between the lines, and yeah. So that was my statement of purpose. Do you have any questions?
You mentioned the requirements for Georgia Tech and NYU, right? So what are the requirements for UCSD?
So UCSD had it optional. So if you want, you can share it. My GRE score honestly was not too good. It was 312. So I thought I could give it again, but you have to wait 5 weeks from the first time. So I felt that that was a like I could have used my time better. So I spent my time with the SOP and the letters of recommendation. And yeah, do ask questions. Completely fine.
From whom did you take a loss?
So the IT department has so the LMS that I created, pseudo LMS. So that was under a professor called Jagdish Kamble sir. So he's from IIT Kharagpur. So him, then Vishal Jaiswal sir, who taught us computer architecture, and Joshi sir, Rishikesh Joshi sir.
Yeah, regarding that, what I read was that your LOR should be from people you have worked or studied under. So can we include professors from other universities?
Yes, yes, yes. You can. Rishi, one of Rishi's LOS was actually from a professor at a Canadian university where he interned. So it's completely fine. Anyone from academia is fine, but you keep at least one from PICT because some universities want an LOR to understand how you are in a classroom setting. So if you've done research, that is good. But classroom setting mein how you are is from your enrolled institution.
And
so have at least one.
how good is it to include an LOR from, let us say, some industrial place?
Every university has a different requirement. Some universities want 3 academic LORs, some want 2 academic, 1 industry. And if you're applying to Stanford with the Knight Hennessy scholarship, you'll require 5 LORs. So, yeah.
Like with this topic that our batch particularly facing, I want to know how did you manage your time during COVID, like you mentioned about projects and internships and also the so since our online was started like 4.1 a week, so if you are still getting used to the environment, like how do you manage it?
Honestly, it's not healthy, but less sleep. So I mean, it's temporary. It's a year or two, but 3 to 4 hours of sleep with everything really works. And since if you're going for a remote internship, especially if it's at a startup, the requirement is not much. You spend 3 4 hours a week, and you can get things done easily. So internship वैसे हो जाता है manage. Project, if you're really passionate about the project, then 3 घंटा 4 hours sleep is more than enough. Like you'll wake up thinking about it. You'll like it's basically a relationship but with technology.
Did you attend college regularly?
Till second year, yeah. So till COVID, my attendance was 98. Yeah. Except for second year, second sem. So that sem I had 2 internships, so attendance was less, 55, but I had permission from principal, so it was fine. My GRE score was not that great. It was 312, 312. So the quant was 165, which was that's a decent score, I believe. AWA was 4.0, and verbal was really poor, 147. Yeah.
So is it correct to say that every aspect of your profile compensates each other? Like if the GRE score is less, you can manage it out with internships and projects.
It's not one thing. It's not one thing. So the beauty of the of education in the US is it's all holistic evaluation. कि there's no one thing कि ये रहेगा तो तुम लोग sorted हो तुम लोग को सब मिलेगा ऐसा there's no single thing like this. So your GRE TOEFL is just a filter. 100 के नीचे रहेगा तो तुम लोग को English नहीं आता है तुम लोग नहीं आने का इधर. That's basically what TOEFL is. GRE, SOP, letters of recommendation, resume, projects, internships. These six things will really help in your and it's a holistic thing. कि तुम लोग ने ये किया अच्छा साइमल्टेनियसली ये भी किया ये भी किया ये भी किया सो लाइक दैट इज व्हाट दे सी यू जस्ट हैव टू फ्रेम इट प्रॉपर्ली इन द एसओपी दैट इज व्हाट मैटर्स
So like you had an advert from NYU Quran. So like that schools of engineering and environment, and NYU Quran. So like what factor did you use to decide which school?
Tandon is not a good school. Tandon is okay. Courant is very prestigious, but so Courant has amazing math, but UCSD computer science is better than
And why did you not go to college?
1 year program. So there's multiple reasons actually. So first of all, okay. First of all, it's a 1 year program. Then, if you have just a 1 year, so 1 year program and no research. Second, because it's a 1 year program, I'll go in August. I'll finish in May. So immediately I'll have to start my job hunt. So the moment I go there, I'll have to start looking for a job. Now, if you want a job, like if you want to work in a good company, anything FANG or some of the best companies in the world, getting an internship is much easier than getting a job. So that was another thing, that internship job thing. Then even if you have difficult subjects there, which are really cool, the mindset of most of the people who got into Cornell for that program was that let's just take the easy courses and get it over with, which is what we've done here. So I don't want to do that. I like for the love of the subject, I felt UCSD was the best of all three.
Have you applied for the MSc, like the 2 year program?
I did, but they said that MSCS is a very small batch size, but because your profile is decent, we'll forward it to the 1 year one. So then they said that it's you're accepted in 3 years.
I think that our LOR should be diversified. So our teachers tell us to write our own LOR.
Yeah.
So when you're telling me second LOR, I was thinking the same thing for repeating.
No.
How to diversify? You know, somewhere I can write an LOR from PASC coordinator or something like that. How do you diversify the
Um, guys, if you have any questions, you can freely ask. If you don't have any questions, you can it goes. It's completely fine. कुछ ये नहीं. बस आवाज मत करो बस. Thank you. हाँ. Diversification in LOS. So here, because you have to write them on your own, it's a bit of an. So the professors you choose should be such that you have had some of the other interaction with them. So I'll tell you, one of the professors was one who I had done the project under. Second was one who loved my notes. So the William Stallings book that I mentioned, I used to make notes from that, all handwritten notes. So he used to love those notes, and the entire class used to use those notes. So that is why one perspective उधर से आ गया. And तीसरा is maybe a bit generic. Lab में he used to help others. Very friendly, personality अच्छा है, all that. So you can have one about a project, one about how your nature is in classroom.
So can we write about clubs and all that to work like or something?
हाँ, but वो टीचर ने क्या किया उसको?
Suppose clubs coordinator, for example. Like under her work, so suppose.
Just make sure बहुत तारीफ नहीं आना चाहिए. In the LOR, it should be that this is what he is good at, and these are one or two things that he can improve upon. It should not be all positive. Yeah. No problem. Yeah.
Any recommendations of teachers in IT department who will also.
Their designation does not matter. What work you have done under them matters.
So if you are personally HOD of IT department.
Doesn't matter. HOD, principal, director, designation does not matter.
So yeah, I have noticed like I submitted the GREs for the dollar.
I submitted it to 4 universities: Georgia Tech, CMU, NYU, NCSU, NYU, NCSU, and USC. So Georgia Tech, CMU, I didn't get. The other three I got.
Okay, so you said I got submitted.
No, I didn't submit. It was optional, so yeah. Yeah, a lot. Courses, professors, research. फाइनेंस डोंट कंसिडर, 2 साल में सबका लोन निकल जाता है इसका. They do consider, but it's rare.
Suppose we go there and we want to apply for internships and stuff. So I think I heard from someone that we are competing with PhD students for when we go there and apply for
For
internships.
everything, for courses, internships, सगळ्यासाठी your competition is with PhD students. Thank you.
Ideally, how many are you like?
17. 2 लाख जाता है, एप्लीकेशन में ही 2 लाख जाता है. Too much.
किती वेळ लागला तुला हे सगळं SOP पासून